Good morning, everyone. My name is Werner Geyer. I'm a research manager here in Cambridge at IBM Research, and I also would like to extend you a very warm welcome on behalf of IBM Research. I thought that I would spend a couple of minutes, I don't want to torture you too long and keep you from the keynote, to talk about IBM Research here in Cambridge. Probably for many of you, this is an unknown site, because if you think about IBM T.J. Watson Research and you think about Hawthorne and Yorktown in New York State, but we are a very small sort of extension of the Yorktown and Hawthorne labs up here in Cambridge, and has actually a very long history. I personally started as a postdoc about 12 years ago in Hawthorne, and then moved up here, and when I moved up here and joined the research group here in Cambridge, this was still kind of in between being Lotus Research and then becoming IBM Research. So this group here actually has a very long history and was originally led by Irene Greif, who was also one of the co-founders of the CSTW area. So our research here is very much around CSTW, human-computer interaction, but increasingly we are also doing more analytics. And let me just show you a few slides about IBM Research in general. You see, IBM Research is pretty big. Overall, about 3,500, I think, employees, so that number is not even correct here anymore. You're probably familiar with some of the labs. We've recently opened up some new labs, the one in Melbourne, for example, in Australia, the one in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, Dublin, and there is a dot that's missing here. There's a new lab also in Kenya, in Africa, that was just opened up 3 weeks ago or so, 4 weeks ago. So here in Cambridge, we are part of the Watson Lab, and we are also part of the Center for Social Business. This is, if you will, a kind of overlay, a virtual organization. That's not a real organization. So there's a number of sites involved in the Center for Social Business, and Cambridge is sort of leading the center. So Irene is the director, and Hui Su is also leading the local research group here. And this is the site here. And by the way, my apologies for all the construction here. And this was actually much worse 3 weeks ago, but I was hoping that this would be done by now, but it unfortunately isn't. But it will be very beautiful, so you need to come back one day. And they also said that they were going to put a sports bar on the other side, on the first floor, which our teams are really looking forward to, because then it's just a walk downstairs and after work to have a drink. And that's coming up. So the Center for Social Business connects many sites. It's very interdisciplinary because we are doing a lot of HCI, CCW research, social computing. So we have computer scientists, social scientists, software engineers, designer, visualization people. We are actually currently looking for visualization people. So if you know any visualization experts or so, we have job openings in that area. So please contact me about that, if there's any interest or any names that you would like to drop. And so from a topic perspective, you see the social computing is top. We're doing more and more social media analytics, collaborative softwares, and it's a very old area that we've been working in, do a little bit less work these days. Visualization, visual analytics, a little bit less mobile, smarter cities. The Dublin lab that was opened up last year is focused only on smarter cities, actually. And also a lot of smaller projects on persuasive systems, gamification, recommender systems. So that's one of my favorite areas, and collective intelligence and crowdsourcing. So these are roughly the areas that this lab is involved in, and some of the connected labs. And maybe interesting to you is more from a product perspective. This is also history, but it is some of the research that has been done that came out of the Cambridge lab and the Haifa labs, and Almaden has actually influenced some of the IBM products that you can buy on the market today. I don't know if people are familiar with IBM Connections. It's a social networking product for large-scale enterprises. And all these things that you see here, like dog ear, cattail, sand, social blue, there's a lot of actually academic research behind these components that actually moved into Connections as a social networking platform. Social blue, some of you might remember some papers that are called under the name Beehive. There's a whole collection of papers around social networking, recommender systems for social networking, people recommenders, and in particular in the center, the SAND systems. They're coming out of the HIFA lab. They provide a lot of analytics, indexing capabilities, people search, and recommendation capabilities for this product. Okay, and just wanted to show you 3 examples for very current projects that are going on. Just very quickly, so Social Pulse for the Enterprise is sort of an exploration of how you can use social media analytics to help marketing and communication professionals. So we're doing analytics on the social media that the workforce or the employees are producing, basically. The idea is to sort of understand how much are your employees brand ambassadors? How are they talking about your products out in the markets and your services and your brands? How are they talking about those services, brands internally versus externally? So we're doing sentiment analysis in real time here, and also term and topic extraction. And then you see there's just a screenshot here that shows you like a tree map visualization inspired by the map of the market and the news map, but we are basically rendering aggregate sentiment and trending topics in these squares here. But it allows you to slice and dice the data by people attribute, so you can ask questions. Are managers in Canada on board with the new Smarter Planet strategy or so? So you can use people attributes and demographics to segment the data in this prototype. And this goes all the way from the front end visualization to the back end and the crawling that we do. Beyond Discussion is another current project. The idea here is to support ideation and decision making in enterprises. This is basically about enriching discussions with social and decision analytics. And what the people on this project have done here, they have created a system that allows people to, I think, up here you can see, ask what people want to decide, so what they need a solution for this. For example, in this case, how can your company reduce your carbon footprint? Then, of course, people can have a discussion around this. But in this system, they can also, they've added some structure to this. They can also basically propose solutions and then vote on these solutions. And later on, this can be evaluated in an easier way. So this is just one example how adding a little bit of structure to a discussion forum can help the analytics, but they're also working on deeper analytics in this area. And last but not least, that's a project that we just ran this year. Is probably many of you know Kickstarter, and the idea here was to what happens if you put Kickstarter in an enterprise and you sort of empower your employees, you give them some money from your budgets, and you give them decision power on what to do with the money. So it's slightly different than Kickstarter, but also similar in a way. And we built a site, and sometimes we do this very quickly. So we built something 8-9 weeks. We deploy it for 4 weeks. This one we tested with 500 employees in one of the research organizations. For 30 days, we gave everyone $100, and you see the screenshot here. That's how the site looks like. It was a really successful experiment. We saw very high participation for social software. Many of you might be familiar with the Nielsen rule of 190, where you have just 10%, or in our own communities, 13% active participation. We saw actually over 40% contribution here in this prototype, not only lurking. So, and very high interdepartmental collaboration. So people proposed projects. So one of the projects was a 3D printer, and because people thought, oh, we need to, play more with these new technologies, and other departments chimed in and said, can I try it out, and so on. So that was a project that was successfully funded, for example, through an activity like this. So a lot of creative projects that addressed IBM cultural issues, technology, and future opportunity. And probably we're going to run some more of those in the future. And I think that's it from my side. Thank you very much. I enjoy the conference and make use of the sites. It's good to be interactive and talk about research. And Daniel, I give it back to you. Thanks.